You will never know the weight of how difficult it is to raise children until you get to do it yourself. Every time I see a pregnant woman, I just thank God that it's not me, because I think, wow, yeah, pregnancy is painful physically, but raising children, and you have some fathers who think just because they are paying school fees that they've done the most, that we must stand on the roof and clap for them. Yay, thank you. Thanking a fish for swimming. Focus. Hey, welcome to the Raw Truth with Pindile. I am Pindile Ngeba, and today I'm actually recording from Starbucks. Thank you for supporting the journey. Thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for all of the secret direct messages that I get from the conversations that we are having on this platform. The journey is just beginning. Thank you for allowing me into your space, be it your home, your office, your car, wherever you are listening from as you watch. And I just want to let you know that you can purchase your copy of I Failed. The link is in the description, and I'm actually just trying to close my lovely journal here because I am actually using it to write myself. The I Like a Boy journal for teen girls is available. The link is in the description. Let your daughter, niece, neighbor write her way to success. There's power in writing. I Like a Boy, a journal for teen girls, is out now. And today we are actually looking at the downside of motherhood. I know we don't often talk about it. We glorify, almost over glorify motherhood. You see mothers taking selfies with their babies just after giving birth. They snap back in just a few days. But motherhood is tough. Let's be real, ladies. Motherhood is not for the faint-hearted. And I always ask myself, how on earth are teenagers doing it? You know, statistically, girls between the ages of 15 to 19 are having 340 deliveries per day in South Africa. I ask myself, girls in high school, how do you do it? You know, our young girls are busy with activities that we were not busy with growing up. You know, the times have changed. I remember when I was pregnant, when I gave birth to my firstborn, I was 24 years old. And I remember going for my antenatal checkups, and I was always one of the oldest ones in the clinic. Same with when I went into labor and I gave birth at the maternity ward. The girls that were in there were really, really young. I almost felt like I was too old. So that is the landscape. That is what's happening in our hospitals. More specifically, that's what's happening in our public hospitals, in the public sectors, where I think between 2024 and 2025 there were over 100,000 deliveries recorded from teenagers just within the public sector alone. So that's what's happening. Times have changed. Now, as a woman, you know, in your late 30s, when you want to have a baby, it almost feels like a shame. It almost feels like you are too old. Oh my goodness, should I still be doing this? You know, medically, doctors say when you are at the age of 40, you are considered a high risk pregnancy when you are having, you know, a baby at that age. Because times have changed, you know, our health has evolved over the years. But when you look at our mothers, our grandparents, they were having lots and lots of babies way into, you know, their 40s as well. That's what was happening. You would find back in the day easily a 60-year-old woman, you know, having a young baby, an infant. Back then it was common. Now you are considered a high-risk pregnancy, a high-risk pregnancy as a woman having a baby at that age. So today we are talking about the downside of motherhood, because as glamorous as it looks like, we see a lot happening on social media. Young moms posting these perfect pictures of how they snap back and they bounce back a day, a week after pregnancy. The reality, my camera just moved. The reality is, let me just fix it because I'm not comfortable with that. There we go. This is the raw truth. The reality is it's a lot tougher than it looks like. And I just want to get into that conversation a bit. So I invite you, teen moms, I want the single moms, I want you all in here. I want us to have a moment where we breathe, where we look at the realities of what it takes to actually raise children, even the married woman as well. If you're married and you've got an active, husband who's helping you raise your children, I want you to equally contribute into this conversation, and I want to hear your experience of what it really means and looks like to raise children, because it's a lot. But more than anything, I want this to be a safe space. I want this to be a space where we breathe, where we recalibrate as well. All right, that's the word of the day: recalibrate. To recalibrate means to readjust, to recalculate something so that you can be more effective. So let's recalibrate. Let's look at the downside of motherhood. In the next episode, we are going to be looking at the upside. So before you jump and think, how dare you be so insensitive and talk about children like that? No, I'm not talking about children like that. I'm just talking about the reality of what it takes to raise children.
Like a boy, yeah, it's true, it's a vibe, but I won't let these feelings take over my drive. I'm leveling up.
When I actually had my first child, I was still married at that time, and I had my now ex-husband present in the picture, but I still felt all alone. I still felt like I was doing everything. Which brings me to the realization that even though men, and we see a lot of present dads doing their utmost best, to assist in raising children, and they should, because it is their responsibility. But it is the role of a woman to be the primary nurturer, the primary caregiver when it comes to raising children. That is why, as women, even biologically, we are the ones, who become pregnant. And we cannot escape the reality that it is always going to be the core mandate of a woman to raise children. It's unnatural whenever we see a man stepping up and doing something that a woman should be doing. We celebrate it, we commend it, and we see a lot more present fathers in today's society. But the truth is, it is still the role of a woman. I know you're going to be quick to want to jump into a debate. We can debate if you want to, but the reality is, it is still the role of a woman to raise a baby. It's unnatural when you go to a house and you see the father living with children. Your first question is always going to be, where's the mother? What happened? Why is this man washing the dishes? Why is he changing diapers? Why is he living with children? Where is the mother? We always ask that question because we understand under normal circumstances, it is the role of a woman to care for children that are biologically hers. I'm speaking in this context, all right? And so due to life and, and unfavorable circumstances that happen, men do step in, and we really do appreciate and salute the men who do step in and assume that task, which is not easy. You will never know the weight of how difficult it is to raise children until you get to do it yourself. And women, mothers, make it look easy. You bounce back after pregnancy, you raise those children, you are well put together, you thrive, but it's still difficult to do so. So just before I gave birth to my firstborn, I remember my older sister saying to me, when I was heavily pregnant and when I couldn't even reach my toes and I couldn't even see the lower part of my body, my sister said to me, Mapindi, you better enjoy these last days of having time alone, because after you have this child, you are never going to have time to yourself ever again. Your world is never going to be the same.
I got my books on the table, got a future to plan, but it's hard to stay focused when he's part of the stand. Yeah, he's
You know, when somebody says something and the words, they say something that is going to help keep you in your journey, but the words go over your head. It's like when you attend a wedding, and you know, when speakers are giving marriage advice and the bride and groom are sitting there looking lovely and beautiful, and most of those words are just going over their heads, because all they're thinking about is the honeymoon. You know, they're in the honeymoon phase, they're all lovey-dovey. But a few years down the line, those words start to make sense, and they start to revisit the words that they got at their wedding. Same with this here. When my sister said those words to me, it didn't make sense. I thought to her, what are you saying? I just want to hold my baby in my hands right now. Because when you're pregnant, mothers, can we just stop for a moment to talk about the dreams that you have about your baby, how you cannot wait to hold your baby in your arms. You dream about what they're gonna smell like, what they'll look like. The dreams are a bit much, especially when it's your first baby. You dream every time you fall asleep about the baby. How will the baby look? Am I going to be able to take care of the baby? You just cannot wait to have that child be in your hands. And so, because that's the phase that I was in, her words went right over my head. But a few months down the line, I found her words revisiting my medulla oblongata, where, as much as I enjoyed motherhood, I thought, whoa, well, this is exhausting. A couple of weeks ago, at this very mall, I bumped into a new mom, and I was so excited to see her. You know, she was glowing, her skin was great. And I said, oh my goodness, where's your baby? Because it was her first baby. I said, where's your baby? And she said, I left him at home. I need to breathe. And so that happens. Your life is not your own once you have children. You even appreciate going to, the toilet alone, because once you have kids, when they're young, they need you. They need you. Kids cannot identify themselves outside of their mother when they are still young. Hence there's that separation anxiety. When your baby goes to the creche for the first time, you need to buy all of those different, vitamins to ensure that they don't fall ill, because that anxiety causes them to fall ill. It's the first time that they are away from their mother. They cannot cope. Babies can't separate themselves from their mothers, and so it's a lot. You have these little human beings who are depending on you, who do not know what life is like outside of you, and it's only going to take time and growth for them to learn that I can actually survive outside of my mom. So as much as moms are doing the best that they can, it really is exhausting. I actually look forward to dropping my kids off at school. I'm just going to be very honest with you right now. When you're a new mom, you also want to have your baby with you all day, every day, especially if you're not working, or if you're on maternity leave, and the thought of having a helper is traumatizing. Oh my goodness, I don't want another person coming to look after my child. I need to be here. I need to make sure that they're well. But once you grow, when you have a couple more children, and life humbles you and teaches you that you actually need to live and exist outside of your kids, you then learn that, okay, my children are going to be safe if they are left with a nanny. My children actually are safe when I drop them off at school. I look forward to dropping my children off at school. I am going to tell you that, and I know I am not the only mother to say that. That morning drop off is one of the moments I look forward to in my day. The moment where I actually wave them goodbye, oh, bye, and you look at them until they turn, and then immediately after they turn, you drive off. And that's when your day officially starts, because I don't count my day as part of the morning routine when I'm running around picking up shoes, making breakfast, trying to get people out of the house. No, my day doesn't start at that point. It starts after that, where I actually get to think and do, and get to go about my day as I want to, not in a way that involves my children. I know you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so that morning routine is a glorious. That morning drop off is a glorious one, where you actually get to drop them off. And for those who have help and relatives around, you'll appreciate, that moment where you drop them off at your sister's house. You drop them off with your mother. I think if my mother was still alive, I definitely would appreciate leaving my kids with her. Just like we're coming from the July holidays, June, July holidays, I know a lot of parents look forward to the season because you have to go to work. Some of us don't have helpers. I don't have a helper. So that's where your mother or your partner's mother comes in, where, relatives come in and they say, bring the kids. And the kids love going to granny's house or grandpa's house. They love it. They look forward to it. So it's a win for everyone. And so it's really helpful when you have that help for that 3 weeks, where you get to go about your day, where you get to wear a little bit more makeup than usual, where you get to put a little bit more effort in your outfit. But it's not always like that due to the demands of motherhood. We're looking at the downside of motherhood. Your time is not your own. Your life no longer belongs to you. You have these little human beings who are dependent on you. And it's like every time I'm giggling because I used to, when I grew up, there was this movie called Gremlins. And the Gremlins, it was this pet, right? That had very specific instructions. You had to take care of it in a specific way. Like, it had to be outside of sunlight. You mustn't give it food after a certain time, and it mustn't touch water. It was really, really, really cute. But then the young boy who was tasked to look after the pet, he forgot. I think he fed the gremlin after a particular time, and then the gremlin replicated itself and so forth. So I'm thinking of gremlins as I'm thinking of this metaphor that I want to just paint for you. Every time you have a baby, it's like you replicate yourself. If you've got 2 kids, you replicate yourself 2 times, 3 times, 1 time if you've got 1 child, 5 times if you've got 5 children. And it's like with every pregnancy, with every baby that you have, a piece of you is left with that baby. Listen, the emotional connection, the physical connection that a mother has with their baby is indescribable. You get so connected, especially when the children are young. I used to have nightmares when my kids were still young, because I used to think, what's going to happen to them when they're not with me? As like, if they're not with you, you think that's the worst case scenario. They're not safe. Something bad is going to happen. Have they eaten? You constantly think of them. Have they eaten? Are they safe? Oh my goodness, I wonder if they're safe at daycare. I wonder if the gate is closed, if they're not running around on the road. I used to have nightmares like that, and I actually would not be able to eat outside of, if they were not in front of me, I would not eat. Be it I'm going to an event to speak, I'm attending a function, whatever it is, I used to just have a glass of water, and that's it. And then I would eat whenever I return home with my kids. If we were allowed to take some leftovers, I would take for my kids, and then we'd eat whatever it is that was being served at that particular event, and then I'd go home and I'd eat with them. I still do that. I still do that. I am a Black person, and I'm not ashamed to say it. If I go to an event and there is more than enough food, I've seen other Black families shy away from this, where they think, oh my goodness, what will people think? I take the food, okay? If there are, those takeaways, I grab one, especially if the event organizers say to you, please take the food, there's more than enough left over. This food, we're going to throw it away in any case. The food is going to be thrown away, so why not take? So I struggled. I used to struggle to eat when my kids were not with me, so I never did. It's something that I recently started doing, where if they're not with me, I'll eat. They're grown now. They're grown. So they are 10 and 8. My 8-year-old is turning 9 in October. So now they're grown. I know that they're safe. When I leave them at school, they're safe. If they are at home, they are safe. And then the rest, you'll just pray it through. Sometimes you feel an uneasiness within you. And most of the time when that happens, it's your body telling you that, wait, your baby is not okay. So whenever I feel an uneasiness, I just pray about it. And then I take note of the time. I look at the time and I think, okay, I'm feeling like this. It's 11 o'clock. I'm feeling like this. Let me pray. And then when I fetch them from school, I'll ask them, what were you doing at 11 o'clock? And when they tell me what they were doing at that time, you'll find that my daughter actually was feeling very sad at that particular time. So when you have those moments and you can't really go barging into the school saying, is my child safe? The child is safe under normal circumstances. So we just have to be brave and strong, because at the same time, life must continue. It's frustrating to be with your children locked in the house the whole day. On days where I'm with my children throughout the day, I actually say to them, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to leave and get fresh air. And they'll say, oh, but mommy, that is so mean. How can you say that? It's the truth, okay? At the same time, if you were to spend all day, every day, gazing into your eyes of your children, life would stop, life would not continue. You still need to work. You need to find a nanny if you can find a nanny to look after your children. And then they grow, their bones get stronger. I know also, when they start crawling and they go picking up everything on the floor, that used to give me nightmares. I used to think, oh my goodness, what if my child suffocates? What if they chew on a big bone? What if they chew on a coin? That's never happened to my children. Let me tell you something. I've never had to rush to the hospital because my child swallowed something, or like a sweet got stuck in their throat and then I needed to perform CPR. I've never experienced that. And that's when you realize that, what, ultimately God is the one who protects our children, because you can't be this superhero watching over them everywhere, every day, at all times. And it's important for you as well to be able to go out and recalibrate. There's a word again. For you to gather your thoughts, for you to gather the energy, for you to actually work and come back and be with them again. Okay, so so a child is a part of you that you can never separate. And I'm actually, to be quite honest, traumatized by the thought of pregnancy. Yeah, the thought of pregnancy traumatizes me. Every time I see a pregnant woman, I thank God it's not me, because it's traumatic. Especially, when you maybe it's another experience to have a supportive partner. The thing is, I haven't seen the other side of the coin. So maybe that's why my opinion, or my what I'm saying, maybe it's one-sided. But from what I've seen, pregnancy, what? At the end of the day, pregnancy, whether you have a supportive partner or not, it is a lonely road, because who has to birth that baby? Whether you're having the baby naturally or via cesarean section, it is you. Okay, your partner can be there to hold you, to rub your back. I salute the women as well who will allow their partners to rub their backs in that moment, because I remember when I was giving birth to my second born, my sister, it was at my older sister's clinic. because she's a nurse. And I remember her looking at me laughing. I was so annoyed. She was laughing and she said to me, "Do you want me to call your husband?" And I felt like wringing her neck at that point. I wanted nothing to do with him because I was angry. It's painful. Okay, I was giving birth naturally. It's painful, and I'm like, here I am, pushing this baby out, all on my own. And the actual pushing of the baby is the easy part. It's the contractions, the labor, the moving, oh my goodness, of the muscles. Oh, it feels like your hips are being pulled apart. It is excruciating pain. And so I commend those women who will allow their partners to be there with them, to rub their back, to say, baby, you can do this. Oh my goodness. Maybe when you do have a supportive partner, that is what you want. But at that point, that is not what I wanted. And the mention of his name made me lose it. Okay. So every time I see a pregnant woman, I just thank God that it's not me, because I think, wow, ma'am, the journey that is ahead is very long. And quite frankly, this is my personal opinion. I feel like pregnancy is the easy part, and raising the children is the hard part. That's the truth. Yeah, pregnancy is painful physically, but raising children, the emotional toll, and everything it calls it. It's difficult to raise children, and I think that's what I'm trying to bring us to in today's conversation, to actually acknowledge that raising children is tough, and it's even more tough when you're doing it alone. Your life is not your own, your time is not your own, your finances. Okay, let me use myself as an example. I work in the creative industry. I've got a creative I'm a creative professional. I don't really have a financially stable career. My work is volatile. There are months where I'm able to pay school fees. There are months where I'm not able to pay school fees. There are months where I can afford to do my daughter's hair. There are months where I can't. Like now, you'll see my hair is natural. My own hair is not done, because there are months where finances are tough and you're busy balancing. You've got school fees to pay, you've got things to do, and change of seasons as well. You need to buy clothes, you need to buy shoes. Financially, it's taxing. I think of my life before I had children, all right? And I did whatever I want, whenever I wanted to, however I wanted to do it. Thank God I've always been very financially responsible, but maybe I should have lived my best life. Okay, at that point I probably should have, but I didn't, because I've just always been careful with money financially. But I look at my life ever since I've had children. Financially, my finances have been a roller coaster. I've never really been able to do what I've wanted to do. I've never actually even taken my own kids out on holiday. And these are some of the realities. Life is quite different for a single mother than it is for a mother who has a present father or husband or partner who is presently contributing to your children's lives. Because the minute you leave a toxic relationship, for those who have left, men say, all right, take your kids and go. All of a sudden it becomes your kids. You take them, you see. And if they do contribute, hallelujah, that's a blessing. But most of the time they close their pockets and they say, do you, and they move on. They get new families and they get new children, and these children from this previous relationship, they suffer, and you feel it as the mother, as the single parent. These are things as single parents we don't talk about. These are the things that would make a single parent bitter. So there he is. is moving on with his life, he's remarrying, it's not because this woman doesn't want him to move on. It's the pain, it's the burden. She knows what's going to happen when this man moves on and remarries, that these children are going to be neglected. He's already not doing his best. He's doing bare minimum, and now that he's getting married, it's going to further decline. And you have some fathers who think just because they are paying school fees that they've done the most, that we must stand on the roof and clap for them. Yay, thank you. Thanking a fish for swimming, for doing what it's supposed to do. And so when they do that, and then when you ask for money, then they think that you are negligent, or that you are not handling money correctly. Money is the least of it. The time that it takes. When you have children, your career takes a pause. There's this movie, Why Did I Get Married? The first one, the very first one. There's this character in Why Did I Get Married, Diane. Diane, after having one child, she chose to tie her tubes. And I remember, when that secret was revealed, that moment where, they were all dishing out each other's secrets on the table. And so Diane tied her tubes, all right? And everybody, as a viewer watching, back then I thought, oh my goodness, how selfish. How could she do that behind her husband's back? Under normal circumstances, that is selfish. As a married woman, you can't go behind your partner's back and tie your tubes. That is taking it a bit too far. But over the years, I've actually had to revisit Diane and think and say, maybe Diane was not as selfish as we thought. Diane was a career-driven woman. She knew the toll of what having children looked like. And even though she was supposed to have a conversation with her husband about that decision, she knew that primarily it was her life that was going to be affected. She made the decision for herself to say, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to tie my tubes. I'm not saying what she did is right, but I'm saying I understand where Diane came from when she chose to do what she did. After that first child, she realized, I don't want to have any more children. And I remember when I was growing up as well, I wanted to be a social worker. Or people thought I should be a social worker, let me say that, because I loved children. I still do. And I still do actually want to adopt a lot of children. I want to be like Angelina Jolie, okay? I want to adopt a lot of children. Children of different nationalities and ethnicities. I want to give them that love. But biologically, I don't want to have more children. I'm just going to be very honest with you, because it's just too much of a roller coaster. I don't know what it would be like to actually parent a child that is not biologically your own, but I'm willing to experience it, as long as I'm not the one who needs to go through the motions of pregnancy and everything that happens, and just that emotional attachment with your child. Oh my goodness, you have to be there. You have to do homework. This is what fathers don't know, who are now separated with the biological mother of that particular child. This is what they don't know. They don't know how taxing it is. The time, the nurturing, the care, the presence, the mommy. Yes, baby. Oh, yay. That time you're thinking bulls in your mind, your career. Okay, your plans when you have children, they are on pause. Hence, in my book, I Failed, there's a chapter where I talk about how I salute women such as your Sibam Tongana. Oh, can we salute her? She's got 4 children. I remember I started following her journey and, seeing her as a chef. She used to have this show on DSTV, very, very early in the day. I remember, her while she'd be cooking, she was pregnant with her firstborn, Lonwabo, and I thought, wow, she's gorgeous. I was drawn to her. I loved her. And then after the first one, she had the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one, and I was like, and she's building a career. And she's an award-winning chef, and she travels the world, and she's a businesswoman. And I thought, how on earth is she doing all of this? She's got a present husband. That's how. That's how she's been able to do it, because there is absolutely no way any woman could be able to do all of that with children alone. No, she's got help. She's got a present husband who is actively doing. Mr. Brian, we salute you, sir. We salute you, sir. We salute you. From what I see, you're not much of a talker, but sir, we see you. We see the work that you are doing behind closed doors. And real men, real fathers, are the ones who don't want to be applauded publicly. Those are the ones who move like submarines, who are there present at night, doing homework, attending soccer events, doing the things that they need to do, chasing around their children in the park, changing diapers. That's where the real work is, where nobody sees. That's where I want to close today's episode. I've just been reflecting and pondering on, just the downside of motherhood, parenting, and, just the demands of raising children. More than anything, it's just the emotional attachment, constantly being attached to your children, which is a bit overwhelming. You are at work, all right? Let's say you're an accountant, you're busy there cracking that PC. But at the back of your mind, you are thinking, my children, what am I going to be cooking for supper today? Oh, this one has tennis after school. I need to do this. You're thinking supper, what am I going to cook? There's a lot. And as women, we deserve to have the help. So to the teens who have been popping out babies left, right, and center, listen up. I want to say to you, books first, boys last. I know it's not going to make sense now, but when you're an adult, you will see it and you will understand it. These figures are astounding. The fact that there are 350 children being born on a daily basis, being born to a teen mother that is between 15 to 19. That is incredibly shocking and deeply concerning. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but one step at a time. That's what I am here for. Here to hold the hand of that high school girl who needs guidance, who needs to know that I can't focus on butterflies right now. There are so many women right now who are in deep regret, asking themselves, saying, if only I chose better, if only I chose a better partner. They're stuck in marriages, or if you're not married, maybe you are in a long relationship with your partner and you're asking yourself, if only I chose better, if only I had the time to do better, I would have. Okay, I'm going to publicly say it. I regret getting married immediately after university. That is one of my deepest regrets. And I've honestly had to pray to God for a long time to say, God, why did I do this? When I look at my colleagues and my previous classmates, they are far in life because I got into a relationship with somebody who was not right for me, has been one of the reasons why I'm where I am today. I'm not as far as I would like to be. I'm talented, I'm putting in the work, but I'm dealing with a lot of backlog. And so I'm trying to avoid another girl from making that mistake. Immediately after completing my degree, I got married. I finished my degree December 2014. February 2 months later, 2015, I was getting married. I remember a relative saying to me, Pindile, why? Why are you getting married right now? Go focus. You just graduated. Work. Stand on your feet. Make your own money. And I thought, I want to get married. There's somebody who wants to marry me, so I'm getting married. Yeah. And now I have 2 children and I'm raising them all on my own. And where is the partner who was there? He's nowhere. He's gone. So when we know better, we must do better. So it's our responsibility now to educate the young ones who are coming up after us to say, yes, I know it's really nice when a boy pays you a compliment and you feel like you're the sharpest knife in the drawer and you feel like the prettiest girl in the room, and your walk even changes, hey, when you've got boys pursuing you left, right, and center. You pop your bum out, your breasts are all up in the air. Oh, I'm beautiful. You can see these teens that walk around the malls. You must see them when it's holiday season. They look so cute, walking around so innocent, and you wish you could shelter them and protect them and say, oh my goodness, listen to me, listen, focus on school right now, focus. That's what I'll say to you as a young teen watching this. Focus, so that you don't have to have regrets, so that you don't have to be an 18-year-old mother who could have chosen to focus on school. Your ticket out of poverty, your ticket to the life that you want, your ticket to success as a school-going girl is in your books. You focus on your books, because those marks are going to carry you. They are going to determine what you study even after high school. They are going to determine whether you can even go to university. They are going to determine which doors open immediately after you leave grade 12. There's life after that, and the quality of the life after that is going to be determined by what you do while you're at school. So focus. In the next episode, we are going to be looking at the upside of motherhood, and of course the joy of parenting, because we love children. I love my kids, really, honestly, I do. But we must just be real. We must be real. Don't you think right now I want to be sitting here as I'm sitting here at Starbucks with a nice long Peruvian weave and nails and lashes, looking like the dream? But I can't look like the dream right now. I can't. I hand wash. I can't be spending thousands on a weave when I'm supposed to be paying school fees. Yes, those are the realities. And so if you know better, do better. We don't want the young ones to make a mistake. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of The Raw Truth. Before I see you in the next one, I want you to type in the comments below. If you're a mom or a working professional, if you're not a teen, what is your biggest regret? What is your biggest regret? Okay, and if you are a teen watching this episode, I want you to tell me right now if this episode is making sense to you or if it's just going over your head. I'll see you in the next episode. God bless.
I got my books on the table, got a future to plan, but it's hard to stay focused when he's part of the stand.
I Like a Boy, a journal for teen girls, is out now.